At KLAS, we seek to impart within our students a Christian worldview through classical education. Our goal is to enable them to live a consistent Christian life. We teach our students how to filter subject content through the Bible. We want our students to understand the interconnectedness of everything they learn and be able to see God at the center of it. We place a strong emphasis on logic and reasoning, so our students will be better able to solve problems and think independently.
Learning logic, we repetitively memorized this verse, John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. It's actually the most important thing while we were learning logic, as understanding God as Logos Himself. And we learned that some things that can't be proved with science can be actually proved with logic. So logic can stand by itself without being proven by any other things. The example of Jesus walking on the water, and actually scientifically it's impossible for a man to walk on water. However, if we think logically, it doesn't have any logical fallacy in logical structure, which means it can't happen logically. So even if it does not fit scientific theorems or laws, it actually fits in logic, which means it can still happen. So sometimes I had questions about miracles, and not only me but a lot of Christians would have questions about miracles, and by learning logic, that a special part about miracles gave me answer of those kind of questions. We use textbooks to first get the basic rules or proving methods. Most difficult and most important part of logic is actually applying those rules that we learn. So it was the most difficult part and the most helpful part. In our logic class, we used the Republic of Plato to see actually how those logics are applied in arguments and debates. So we used to learn dilemmas in logic class, and after we learned how some methods to refute dilemma, we actually have to look at some dilemma examples and have to refute it by ourselves. And not only looking at the sentence and proving its validity, actually when we speak or have a debate, sometimes we have to apply those logics we learned. Somewhat surprising when I'm talking with other person and I realize they're logical fallacy. As I'm detecting those kind of fallacies or logical structures in people's conversations, it's kind of impressive that I can notice those.
KLAS has a course called Great Ideas. In this course, we combine the teaching of history, literature, theology, and philosophy. The students explore great classical books using logic and Christian worldview. They learn this material in the context of its historical setting and thought.
It's one of the most demanding subjects that I've taken so far. Great Ideas course is a course of theology and literature and history combined. We're learning about things that go together in the same timeline. So it's really interesting to see how people who appear in our theology books also appear in our history books.
I thought that nonfiction or historical events based on stories like that would be boring, but then when I came to class and read those kind of books with my classmates, changed my perspective because it's actually really fun and interesting.
We read a lot of different kind of books. There's theological books such as The Four Loves, or there's also classic literature such as Romeo and Juliet. It shows me how I can apply theological concepts or ideas to my personal life and see how they were played out throughout history as well in other people's lives. The way we read them and the way we analyze them, it really makes us think. It may sound very cliche, but it makes us think outside the box, because we're not just reading the books, we're trying to think about what the author is trying to tell us. So instead of just looking at the book from our perspective, we can look at the book through the perspective of the author or perspective of the characters themselves.
We mostly have discussion time on certain topics and certain ideas that comes from the book, and we also debate on the specific topic. I became much more confident because of those debates and presentations I did. That was the challenge that I faced, but then now I want to face more of those challenges to really grow myself and become confident in front of others. One of the topics that I learned was about the government system. And on a Christian perspective, we talk about which political ideas, or could be more better for the people as Christians.
Before coming to class, I loved reading, but they were all books of like fantasy or fiction. So coming here and reading books that were outside of my comfort zone were really interesting. But it really taught me that books aren't just like for entertainment, but they can actually teach you something.
It is helpful for me to understand the modern issues by looking through the ancient history and historical events, because I learned that history actually repeats. So from that, I think as Christians, we should be able to learn based on the historical events that happened in the past to move forward, to become a better Christian, and to give glory to God.
Latin is also important to help students learn the roots of the English language and a great deal of the origin of English.
It's actually very challenging because Latin is like a whole new language, but like something more difficult about Latin is that people do not use Latin these days, like in everyday like life. So it's like some people call it like dead language. It's usually only used in like writings and readings. One thing about Latin is that, you know, people use like famous Latin quotes, like such as, I don't know, carpe diem. Like we actually learn those sentences like academically in school. And the prefixes and those like parts in English has come from Latin a lot. So for last semester, the professor brought us some passages, Latin passages, so that we can translate together in class. And that was really helpful because we have only seen like charts of like Latin tenses, and then when we actually saw the sentences, it was something different. They were usually like Aesop's fables or like I don't know, Greek myths, short stories. So it was very enjoyable to translate them, and it's really delightful when you actually finish translating.
We want them to be able to express their ideas confidently before others. So we emphasize logic, debate, and public speaking. This is done in English. We want them to be fully bilingual so they can be successful and serve others and serve God internationally.
School gave us the atmosphere that you don't have to do well from the beginning, and it is okay to not understand English well, and that gave us like a very not being discouraged and help us to like, speak more confidently. For English beginners, school established CPP class to help them to develop their English skills from the beginning. We learned literature, writing, history, science, but we learned like grammar and vocabulary more focused. I studied with my classmates, CPP students, and we learned about like grammar and vocabulary, like really basic things. It really helps a lot to understand like more complicated class. I am able to understand most of classes, and also I can express and talk what I want and what I think more easily.
Because we're not only like reading books individually, but like we're also acting out and reading aloud. We do that a lot in class. So I think that helped me a lot how to like actually pronounce things better. And then not only like pronunciation itself, but like, I don't know, my voice, or like as we are practicing play, like we are actually learning how to act, but also how to speak English in more like fluent way.
Our science classes are taught in a God-centered manner. Students learn about God's laws and God's logic and math. More than one science class may be taken during 9th grade. These classes are discussion-centered. Furthermore, we offer AP courses.
The teacher's role is more likely to be called as a coach. He lets us to talk as much as he does, rather like showing us the knowledge that we don't even understand. He gives us a chance to prove it, and I think that is why it interests me more.
The discussion proceeds by asking questions about what we are curious about, and asking questions about what we do not understand in certain topics. And we answer them, and then we try to expand our curiosity through asking each other.
It left me how to prove it and how to understand it better in a way by proving it by myself and speaking it out loud to the class and discussing with my friends.
Before I came to the school, I wasn't a Christian and I didn't believe in God because I didn't have enough knowledge. I realized how logic applies to science. Now, after learning about science and then like Big Bang theories and how it works and how evolutionism like theory works, now I believe in God and I believe in Christianity.
Because it is metaphysics, we were able to prove in a new way and approach it in a new way how to like prove what Jesus did in his miracles.
Our math program focuses on self-mastery. Students are given opportunities to learn math based on individual learning pace. Some of our 8th grade students are already doing 10th grade geometry.
When I come to KLAS, I knew that I can boost up or I can like have my own pace. So that was what excited me the most.
Finally, we have an excellent music program with facilities designed specifically for music. We offer ensemble, choir, and chamber team. The choir team uses Latin lyrics to bring out the deeper meaning of sacred music. We seek to educate students to be successful, serve others, and serve God. We look forward to you joining us